Okay, on to the last batch of questions here. Starting with the U's this time. This is from Unusual Results. How are you? I'm pretty good. I've been better, but I'm pretty good for now. Next question is from Ultima Warrior. Plump, do you like pudding? I do like pudding. Tapioca pudding is also probably my favorite, but really, almost any type of pudding will do. I will say I also prefer pudding that's been made fresh on the stove and is still warm. Cold pudding, it's not too bad, but nothing beats having a bowl of warm pudding on a cold winter day, especially if you have a glass of hot chocolate next to it. Probably a little bit too rich. That's definitely a very rich dessert. I don't mean rich as in money, I mean rich as in that is just, it can overload your senses and taste buds and take you on a magical journey of flavor. Next question is from Uristdorf. Do you disregard Space Station 13 friend requests and invitations because you dislike playing that game with your subscribers? Or because you get so many? Because I would absolutely love to play with you. I love your playstyle. Well, there's a lot of reasons I don't accept friend requests. One, because anyone who sends me a request wouldn't be my friend. And two, you're not supposed to play that game with anyone. I absolutely hate people who play that game with friends and ruin the experience, because that game is about not knowing what is going on. And a lot of people out there, even though it's hard to prove, sometimes, I think a lot of people out there metagame with their buddies and tell them what's going on, tell them what happened to them, and I think people who do that are pretty much scum of the Space Station universe. So I will never accept friend requests on there, but again, I'll never get any more friend requests on there because I've changed my name, and nobody knows it, so good luck hunting me down. The admins probably know who I am because they can match up all the account names with IPs and everything, but they'll be the only ones who are able to track me down and know who I am. Let's see, next question is by U238Shells. Will you marry me? Well, I don't even know you, so how can I marry you? We're not friends. We've never even talked. In fact, I think this is the first comment that you might have ever actually even posted on my channel, so I don't even know you. How could I possibly marry you? Unless, of course, you're extremely rich and I can divorce you very shortly after and take half of your billions. Then there's a slight possibility that we could maybe work something out for a night or a week or something like that. Let's see, next question is by Up to His Neck. And I hate questions like this because I've been asked this question my entire life by people, but I'm going to read it anyways. I get a little worried about you sometimes. Nothing specific, just the old fleeting impressions. How are you feeling? I'm feeling good. I'm sorry that I'm not an absolute ray of sunshine all of the time, but that's just not my personality. It never has been. And the only time that I ever actually really get upset or angry is whenever some cunt face walks up and says, "Why are you looking so sad? What's wrong with you today?" Well, nothing was wrong with me. I just have a bitch face. I just don't have a sunny personality. And so whenever someone walks up and asks me questions like that, it's just, it's an insult to me. It's like walking up to a fat person and saying, "Hey, fatty, why are you so fat today? What's wrong? What's all the fatness about?" It's rude, it's wrong. I understand that people worry about each other and care about each other, but you need to, I guess, kind of make sure that the people that you're asking those questions to actually have something wrong. And I guess maybe there's no other way than to ask people that question, but for me, I'm an introvert. I like to keep to myself most of the time. There's nothing wrong with that, no matter how much the news would like to demonize it and say that all quiet, shy introverts are just mass murderers waiting for the opportunity to strike. That's not the case, and I think that's why I hate that question so much too, because all my life, the media's like, you better watch out for them quiet, shy people. They're always packing heat, getting ready to shoot up the workplace and stuff like that, and it's annoying because it's not true, and it's a stereotype that I have had to argue against my entire life. Everything from family worrying about me to people at school worrying about me. And I think it's rude. It's probably one of the most hurtful things that you can ask somebody. Just because I get tired of being asked it. I shouldn't have to be asked that question. And if you'd stick around my channel long enough, you would see that this is just my personality. It always has been, and it always will be. And that question actually leads us into the next question, which comes from, we're done with the U's, so we're into the V's now. And this question is from Variax. What is your favorite quote, if you have one? The quote that instantly popped into my head whenever I heard this question was, what can change the nature of a man? That's probably one of my favorite quotes. There's a lot of really damn good quotes out there, though, and I don't have a whole lot of quotes memorized because I'm not a memorizer of information and quotes like that. But that is a quote that continually pops into my head anytime somebody asks me what my favorite quote is. I've never played the game that quote came from. In fact, I'm not even sure if the quote did come from that game or if they got it from someplace else. But I absolutely love that question. What can change the nature of a man? Because does it even have an answer? It obviously, I don't know. I mean, does it have an answer? Does it have a legitimate answer? It probably doesn't have an answer that could be applied to absolutely every person out there. But I still think it's a good question. It's something to think about, at least personally for you, you know. What can change your nature is basically what it's asking. And you might want to think about it a little bit. Next question is by Vrapcore. Will you ever do any more LPs of the Guild 2? I found it to be one of your most entertaining playlists. No, I will not do another LP of that game. That game was fun. I admit I had a lot of fun with it, but it also is one of the few games that actually got me irritated due to all of the bugs and the glitches, and I was actually working towards a certain goal. Like I knew specifically what I wanted, how I wanted to end that game, what I wanted to lead into with that game, but I needed to actually beat the game the way that I did in order for that ending to work. So I was getting frustrated that the controls weren't always agreeing with me. We had the Oblivion Gate open up, and the flames of hell continually roasted the skies and countryside throughout the years. So I'd say I agree. I think it was an interesting playlist because bugs and glitches and unexpected things can make an LP way more interesting than they normally would be, especially if the person plays them off and, you know, works them kind of into the storyline, I guess. But I don't think I will ever be going back to it. That playlist that I did of the game, it's good enough for me, and I don't feel like playing any of the other versions of the Guild either. So no, I will not ever be going back to it. Next question is from, oh yeah, we're done with the V's now, on to the W's. Next question is from Wisecracker. What are your favorite books other than The Truth Machine? I already answered this one. I don't think I have any more books to add to it, but I'll mention them again because I think you all should check out the books. They're extremely good. Rune Lords is a good series. The Sword of Truth series is really good. The Dark Tower series is really good. I still also like a lot of the old Choose Your Own Adventure books. I don't remember their names. I think one of them was Deadwood or something like that. I used to check those out of the library in middle school as often as I could and just read through them. They were basically video games in book form. What else have I read? I'm trying to think if there's any other books that I can throw on this list. What could I... See, I just don't really know. I'll read a book and I'll enjoy it and then I'll just forget about it. Goosebumps. I generally like Goosebumps, even though they're children's books. They still have some interesting twists and turns every now and then. And they're also good reading. If you kind of want to study how storytelling works. Because things plot devices in those books are not very well hidden, so you can easily examine them and see exactly how storytelling works, how things are laid out, how characters are developed, how plot twists are set up, and things like that. Next question is by WTF Dude. Got any phobias, like spiders, elephants, etc.? No, not really. I will say I'm not claustrophobic in the sense that, being in a tight, confined area scares me or gets me all hot and sweaty. But if I'm thinking about, say, crawling underneath a house through some really small tunnels with spiders all over the place and giant crickets jumping, I absolutely hate that. I'm not scared of spiders on their own or tight spaces on their own, but once you start adding all these things together, I don't know. If there's probably not a phobia for all of those things combined, but man, once they all come together, it's frightening, I think. Unless you've ever actually been under a really old house with cobwebs all in your face and you're trying to squeeze through these tunnels to get to pipes or wires or things like that, you just don't know what it's like, man. I will say also I'm a little bit scared of heights, but at the same time, I've been skydiving. I actually like skydiving. If I had more money, I would go skydiving more often. I've only been once, so I haven't been nearly as often as I would like to go, but it takes time to set that up, and it takes a little bit of money, but it's incredibly fun. But as far as heights, like climbing up tall ladders and things like that, I absolutely hate that. And I think part of the reason is because I don't trust myself to be able to actually climb it. I just assume that as soon as I reach up and start to pull myself up, my legs are going to give out and my hand is going to let go. It's a trust issue with myself, I guess. I've worked on roofs, I've done roofing, I've helped tear up roofs and build roofs, and no matter what I do, there's always that nagging fear that my legs are just going to give out and I'm going to tumble off the roof or tumble down the ladder. But skydiving, that was incredibly fun. And the thing about skydiving is that I think makes it less scary is that, for me anyways, whenever we were so high up there just looking down, it's hard to judge distance whenever you're that high up, because the ground is barely moving, you don't really see it rushing at you until you get closer. So, we climbed out on the side of the wing, because it was a little one-engine Cessna that we jumped out of, so we climbed out on the side of the wing, and my instructor told me, whenever you're ready, just let go. So we're out there on the wing, and I'm grabbing on, you can see where all these people have, basically peeled off the paint. There's claw marks on the bar, it looks like, and, you just let go and start falling towards the ground, and it was absolutely incredible. I suggest that everyone go skydiving at least once in their life. It's pretty safe. Statistic-wise, you're more likely to die in a car crash or slip in your shower and crack your head open than you are to die while skydiving. Let's see. Next question is from Wipey2. What is your favorite pet? My current dog is my favorite pet, and once she gets old and dies and passes on, my next pet will be my favorite pet. That might sound bad or cold or calloused to some people, but I love all my animals. I cherish all of them, and as soon as the next one comes around, I'll be sure to make it my favorite and spoil it just as much as I did all my other pets. Let's see, next question is by Wendigo. Do you have any kind of YouTube contract, like with Curse or the Game Station or something like that? And if not, have you ever considered one? You are one of the few channels where I don't get any ads before I watch a video, while you are one of the few where I wouldn't mind if there was one. Your average video is about 30 plus minutes, and that's a lot of quality content that we get for free. I would love it if there was some commercial before or after the video that would support you if I watched it. I've been asked this a lot by people, I get offers fairly frequently from companies that want me to join them and sign a contract and they will support me or whatever, but I don't have a contract. I considered it for a bit, but then I decided it's just not worth it for me, and there's a lot of reasons that I don't want advertisements. One of the main reasons is, I'll go over a few reasons here, as many as I can think of while I'm commenting this. One reason is that I can't choose the advertisements that play on my channel, and the last thing that I want to be supporting on my channel with my entertainment that I put my hard work and effort into, I don't want to be supporting Hollywood. I don't want their shitty remade movies to be advertised to you people before my videos. I don't want Disney stars to be getting advertised on my channel. I don't want, crappy products to be advertised that, as far as I'm concerned, use scummy advertising methods, deodorant commercials that make you feel bad about yourself, weight loss commercials that make you feel bad about yourself. Use our product and you won't be so fucking ugly. Buy our product and you won't stink like an ass. Buy our product and all the girls will love you. I hate advertising and marketing because it is so manipulative, and even though some of my viewers say they would like it, I wouldn't. I don't really care. Now, if I could choose which advertisements played on my channel, I would think about it a little bit, but at the same time, that there would have to be more things than just that in order to make me even consider advertisements. Another reason is, I don't want to sign a contract with one of these shitty companies that is going to take 10%, 20%, 30, 40, 50%. I don't know how much money they take, but I don't want any of those companies making any money from my entertainment. They don't do the recording. They don't do the encoding. They don't do anything. Some people will say, yeah, man, they have lawyers and they'll protect you. No, they won't. Protect me from what? I upload videos all the time and I never have any problems. If somebody files a copyright claim on me, I counterclaim it unless it's legit, and most of the time it's not legit. So I don't need protection from a big company. I don't need them stealing money from me for doing absolutely nothing. They're more than likely not going to actually support me and advertise me around to different places. And even if they did advertise me around, I don't want them to pimp out my name all over the place. What type of viewer is on the game station? Is it really a viewer that would like my channel, or is it just going to bring in a whole bunch of trolls and a whole bunch of people who don't understand what I'm doing and are just going to make my experience less enjoyable? I like my channel being spread by you guys. I like my viewers spreading it by word of mouth, because if you like my channel, and you tell your friend, there's a good chance that your friend is like you and will also like my channel. Well, of course that's not always true, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, people who spread it by word of mouth are generally going to be spreading it to kind of similar, like-minded people, where if I was hosted on the game station or Curse or whatever these other places are, there's no telling what type of people would come to my channel. And I don't really want a huge influx of new people from strange locations that are going to completely change the culture and environment in my comment section. Let's see, what other reasons are there? There's a lot of reasons why I don't want advertising. Another reason that I don't want advertising is because some of the advertisements are extremely annoying. They're not always normalized, like the volume levels do not always match up to my videos. So if you're on a playlist watching my videos, my video might end, the commercial starts, and the commercial is just extremely loud and blows out your eardrums, and then you're not going to be mad at the commercial about it, you're going to be mad at asshole Plump for even having the advertisements. Let's see, another reason is also because advertisements don't make that much money. To me, for the current viewers that I have, it wouldn't even be worth it for me to harass you guys with advertisements. I was trying to do a little bit of research on how much money people make with YouTube advertisements, and it is basically no money at all. I think at most I might be able to make $2 to $3 a day with the current number of views that I get. And, that would be great if I was living in a third world country. And yes, I know a third world country does not mean a poverty-stricken country. It has its own connotations that date back to the Cold War, but it's been changed to basically mean a poverty-stricken nation. And, where $3 a day could get you by. $3 a day in some places is an ungodly amount of money, and that might work. That might be worth it if I lived there, but $3 a day isn't worth it to me to harass you guys, and $3 a day would be the high end of what I could make. I did mention that if I ever had like 100,000 viewers, or if my comments section ever got out of control to where I couldn't control it and I wasn't having fun with it anymore, I might think about it. But for the time being, it's just really not worth it for me. I would rather make no money from advertisements and just, leave my donation link up and hope that people donate every once in a while than slam you guys with advertisements. Because if I did put advertisements up, I would also probably remove my donation link, just out of my own feelings on the issue, because if I'm going to be slamming you with advertisements, then I don't really care if you guys donate or not. So it's up for now, and it'll probably be staying up because I don't see myself signing a contract. I think it's ridiculous that I should have to sign a contract with some company anyways, in order to be a YouTube partner. I don't know why YouTube can't just let me be a partner and let me not run advertisements. What if I want to change my banner? What if I want to change my thumbnails to custom thumbnails? I have to suddenly start showing advertisements and things like that? Well, it's not worth it to me. So those are some of the reasons why I don't have a YouTube contract and why I don't want advertisements on on my channel. There's probably some more reasons than that, but right now I just can't think of them. But there's a lot of reasons that I don't want them. Oh yeah, and if I signed a contract, sometimes they tell you that they're not going to force you to change things, but then over time they start to get more overbearing, and they want you to do this and they want you to do that, and sometimes they want control of your content, and they want to be able to republish it other places, and they want to be able to host it other places. And I don't agree with that at all. I don't want a company trying to support me. I don't want a company stealing money from me if I was torturing you guys with advertisements. I don't think it's right, again, that they would get any cut of the profit whenever they don't do anything. Next question is by... Actually, we're done with the W's there. On to the X's. Next question is by Zan Manto. Simply, what do you think makes you different from other commentators? What do you think is the niche that sets you apart from others? Again, I can't really answer this. I have a small answer. I think it's just because I storytell over the videos instead of come on and talk about how my day went and how my life went. I don't have a problem with people who occasionally talk about their life, like if something major happens. If you're getting married, or if you had a kid, or if a family member is sick or passed away, or if you've been promoted or got a huge job somewhere, I don't mind hearing about that stuff. But I don't want to hear you come on and whine about how you waited in traffic for 30 minutes today, or how the person at the DMV was rude to you, because we all deal with those things. And, I don't need to hear somebody else whining and drying, leaking out of their vagina into my ear, because it's simply put, it's just annoying. And I'm hoping that the thing that sets me apart and that makes me a little bit different is that I storytell, and I try not to bother you guys with real world stuff, because whenever I go watch Let's Plays, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get away from the real world. I'm trying to have somebody immerse me into their view of the video game. Show me through your eyes what the game does for you. Take me into the world with you, and let's just avoid the real world for a while. Next question is by X-Ray 4910. Plump, I really like the music in the Space Station 13 videos and in other videos. What is it? Most of the music in my Space Station 13 videos is from the game X3 TC, and you can find that soundtrack on YouTube just by, searching for X3 TC soundtrack, or OST, or, music. Any music that's not from X3 TC I have in my music credits playlist, and if you go to my channel and you go to videos and you look at the playlists, there's a playlist that is dedicated simply to the music I use in certain videos. It's called Music Credits, or Musical Credits. I don't remember exactly what it's titled right now, but I have a bunch of songs in there that I use throughout games like Rogue Survivor and Cataclysm, even some Space Station 13 videos, Dwarf Fortress, some of my older playlists. used music from there, and you can just go find out what songs are there and listen through it and see what you like. It only has about 30 songs in it, so it's not nearly as long as my favorites playlist, but it covers almost everything. Any music that is not either from X3TC or in the musical credits playlist means I can't find anywhere else. So apologies if you hear a piece that you really like but you can't find it. It means I can't find it anywhere else. Let's see. We're done with the X's and we're on to the Y's. This is by Yobi Hodazine. I think that's a chemical in Space Station 13 in Space Rome. I enjoyed your X3TC series despite it being a big clusterfuck. Do you ever plan to go back and give the game another go? I think I mentioned this offhand, and I do plan to go back to it, but I'm waiting until I upgrade my computer because my current beast just can't play and record the game at the same time at an acceptable frame rate once battles start going on. If there's a small fight going on with only a few ships, then, you know, it's fine. The game can handle that. I can record at like 20 to 30 frames per second. But once, you know, fleets and carriers and other ships start jumping in and warping about, then the game just slows to 2 to 3 frames per second, and there's nothing that I can do about it. So eventually, I would absolutely like to go back to it. I would actually like to, you know, kind of try that one experiment that I was trying. I would like to mix X3TC and Arma. I don't know how I would do it again, but if I ever got an upgraded computer that could play both of those, I would like to do where we have the galactic war going on in space, but then every once in a while I can go down on a planet and we can use the Arma engine, and then I can kind of cheat and manipulate the results on X3TC. So if there was a planet, you know, we could attack the planet from space, take out all of the ships there, and then we could beam down some marines to the planet's surface, and we could fight an enemy base there. And then after the battle, we would claim that sector as ours. So there's a lot of interesting things that I would like to continue to try and experiment with in those two games, but it's going to be a while until I get around to it. Next question is from Yosar Lives. What is that chart as the background for your video? Seems pretty cool. I was looking for a background to make or to use on my channel, and I decided, you know, since I kind of try to let's play as audiobooks, I would just find a bookshelf and make that my background. I tried a whole lot of different things, having books lined up on either side of my channel page. I had wood grain that I tested with, I had real books and things like that. And then eventually I stumbled across this bookshelf on Google Images that was used in a science laboratory, and it was just a whole bunch of looked like hand-bound books with numbers down the spines. I'm guessing that was just how they numbered their experiments or something. So I took that bookshelf picture and edited it a whole bunch in GIMP and inverted the colors and did some other stuff for it. Basically tried to make it look like Moonside from Earthbound. And then I thought, you know what? It's a dark image, which I wanted on my channel, because you used to be able to watch videos on someone's channel. So I wanted my channel page to be dark. That way people could watch it at night and not have a huge bright background burning their eyes. It would be kind of like setting in a theater, or, you know, watching your TV at home in the dark, and you wouldn't have this bright background illuminating your entire room. And of course I also like the electric blue look that it has, so I don't know if I'll ever change that background. I like how it turned out. I think it suits my channel just fine, and that's how it came about. It's a scientific bookshelf filled with notepads of various experiments. I have no idea what type of experiments are in there, but there you go. We're done with the Y's, and we're on to the last three questions. These are from the Z's. First question is from Zartine. Have you considered LPing Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door? If you haven't heard of it, I wholeheartedly endorse it, and I'd recommend the Dolphin emulator to try and play it. It works pretty great from my experience. I haven't ever considered it because I've never really played any of the Paper Mario RPGs. I did not own a GameCube. I completely lost faith in Nintendo after the N64. You see, whenever the console wars were coming about during that time period, where it was the PlayStation, the Sega Saturn, I think it was, and the Nintendo 64, I went with the Nintendo 64 because I had faith that it was going to be just as awesome as the Super Nintendo. I was still really into Earthbound and Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy, and I thought for sure that the next great RPGs would be on the 64, so I went with the 64. I ended up being completely wrong, and even though the 64 did have some great games, it did not have any good RPGs at all, and so I really lost faith in Nintendo's ability to deliver the type of games that I wanted. I mean, think about this, the first RPG that I really played on the 64, and it was basically like hooking your mouth up to a cow's ass and ingesting a whole bunch of diarrhea, was the game Quest 64. One of the worst RPGs ever created, and I was so excited for that game because they talked it up in Nintendo Power. They said it had a day-night cycle, that the combat system was really interesting, that the world was vivid and detailed and in-depth, and I was kind of expecting something on the lines of, Chrono Trigger or Earthbound, because I was like, hey, I was still young and foolish at the time. I bought into all the hype and marketing, and I thought, hey man, this is the new generation. There's no way that this game could not be as good as those previous games. So I got that game, and it was awful. It was one of the worst RPGs that I've ever played, and that game pretty much killed my faith in Nintendo, because they were not able to bring about the games that I wanted. They didn't have the third-party support for the games that I wanted, and I eventually ended up just getting a PlayStation, and I never looked back. I never saw anything on any of the Nintendo consoles that I wanted. Nintendo went their way, and I grew up and went my way. So no, I've never considered it. I've heard good things about it, but by the time those games started coming around, I had pretty much just written off Nintendo as a waste of money, in my opinion. Now, the DS and the Game Boy Advance, I think that they did handhelds extremely well, and they did have good third-party support for handhelds, and had some great RPGs on those two systems that I might think about doing something with at some point, but I'm not making any promises again. Next question is by Zay4398. Are you planning to upload more frequently than not in the Roguelike Megamix playlist? Nope, I don't plan anything for the Roguelike Megamix playlist. If I ever find a roguelike that I really like and feel like endorsing, I'll record a video and put it up in there. Otherwise, I don't make any plans at all. It's just if I get around to it and see something I like, I'll upload it there. Otherwise, I don't really worry about it. The playlist isn't going anywhere. Next question is by Zeddy7Teddy. I kinda like how your personality is shrouded in darkness, but oh well, what is your favorite movie? I really like Vanilla Sky. That's listed as my favorite movie on my channel. I thought that the soundtrack for that movie was put together exceptionally well. Whoever picked out the music for that movie knew exactly what they were doing. I also really liked the story and all of the little plot twists in that movie, and I just thought it was exceptionally well done. Full Metal Jacket was also another really good movie that I liked. The directing and acting and special effects and all of that, one of the best war movies of all times. Blade Runner, probably the best sci-fi movie I've ever seen. Also another really influential movie with its storyline, just the world and atmosphere it created, as well as the music in that movie. And also Dune. I thought the 1983 version of Dune, I thought that movie was absolutely incredible for sci-fi as well. There's just something about the old way they made movies. I don't like CGI. CGI looks like plastic, it's sterile, it doesn't feel human, it feels like watching a cartoon, whereas back in the 70s and 80s, they actually had to make models for things, which meant that the models were real. They were real. They were something you could physically touch, and I think it just made the movies that much more believable. And I miss that style of movie making. I understand that apparently it's cheaper to use CGI, which is why they do it, but I think it's a real shame that the art of making models and making really detailed, in-depth sets for characters to act on, I think it's sad that that's gone, and I think that the acting has suffered as well, because now actors are thrust into a room with a green screen where they're not surrounded by all of the various models. I can't speak for the actors because I'm not there, but I don't think that they're capable of immersing themselves into the role as deep as they used to be able to, because the set doesn't exist. The set is built around them after the fact, and they're told, imagine the set. Go watch how Lucas made the episode 1, 2, and 3. For the most part, the sets didn't exist. The actors were filmed on a green screen set, and then the sets were built around them afterwards, and I think it shows. The acting has not been nearly as good as it has been since the 70s and 80s, whenever the actors were actually forced, this is the set, these are the models, they're real, you can touch them. I think it's sad that movies have moved on to the sterile, plastic, lifeless CGI that's used today. Maybe models and detailed sets will make a comeback eventually, but I doubt it. Seems like it's just too much work. Directors apparently don't like to use those old sets. They like CGI where they can handcraft every angle and every shot and every color, and I guess it's just not going to go away, unfortunately. So, that's it for all of the questions. I'd like to thank everybody who took the time to ask a question, especially those of you who asked a really good question. And I don't know when I'll do this again. I'm sure I will at some point. At the very least, I will do one more Q&A session before I end my channel. I won't just disappear and shut down my channel. I will have at least one more Q&A before I go. But it may be another year or two before I do another Q&A session, because this was a lot of work. It took me like an hour and a half to alphabetize all of the questions, and I didn't even do a good enough job of weeding out questions that asked the same thing multiple times. And then I spent a fair amount of time, I think, actually answering all of the questions. I tried to give detailed answers to all of you whenever I could. So again, I'd like to thank you. I hope you continue to enjoy the videos. I hope you continue to enjoy the commentary. And I will see you guys in the next video, which, honestly, will probably be another Chrono Trigger video, because that is what I'm currently uploading. So yes, I will see you guys then. Have fun.